And hello, everybody. Welcome to Two Guys Talking Sports. I'm Pat McDonald from Radigan Media here at Choice 102, and he's Tim Burney of the Sports Reports. This is episode 25. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll have our interview with Waverly senior lineman Cam Hills. It was great talking to Cam. It was just an incredible interview with him.
Oh, he's a lot of fun. It's Superintendent Eric Knowles once told me if he sticks around the area, he'll be mayor.
Absolutely. Let's talk a bunch of Section 4 football now. We'll start with last week's game. We were both at Memorial Stadium in Waverly Friday night. Waverly just, after a slow start, their first two drives, they start inside their 5-yard line and don't get anything, but then 42-0, and they're rolling into the section finals.
That might have been the best all-around game I saw him play all year. I mean, that Windsor offense scored 20 points on Forks and had 3 touchdowns called back in a 41-20 loss. It was 14-14 a half, and Waverly just smothered them. So, and offensively, once they got out of the shadows of their own goalpost, they were pretty much unstoppable.
Man, Ben Shaw, 4 touchdown passes, 300 yards passing, a career high there. He hit Keithley twice and then Watson twice, and a couple of those Watson passes, I mean, amazing catches by Xavier, but also the ball was right where it needed to be.
Oh, the first one, Xavier went up and got it, but Ben dropped it right over a Windsor defender who's 6'3". Well, not a typical 5'8".
Yeah, Soriano, he's the other.
Exactly. So, just perfect throws. I've heard some people say, he doesn't throw the ball downfield much. Well, he does. I mean, you look at last week, he had, late in the game, he threw a nice ball to Dalton Davis down the middle of the field. He had another one of those earlier in the game, too. Both those touchdown passes, though, Xavier Watson, were really nice throws that Xavier went up and made nice catches on.
We talked to Coach Miller a while back, and he was kind of mid-season lamenting a little bit that the run game wasn't there yet, but Fletcher Good, 116 yards, I think, and a touchdown. He's really turned it on here late for him.
Yeah, and that was the first time this year that they've run the ball effectively against a good football team. Mm-hmm. They padded their stats a little bit against bad teams, but again, they didn't show much in those wins, and they were able to run the ball effectively. So just thoroughly impressed with that. Like I said, I think that's the best game they've played all year that I've seen.
So they win 42-0 over Windsor. Shenango Forks on the other side of the bracket, they get a 42-14 win over Lansing. So now we'll just stick with Class C for now. We'll go right into that matchup, previewing that. Waverly Forks, last 4 years, basically, that's the matchup you're waiting for. This year they didn't play in the regular season. They usually do, right? So we haven't seen that matchup yet, but we have seen them play common opponents. What do you think going into this one?
I don't think it's any different than it was when we had Coach Miller in here in the preseason. Mm-hmm. If Ben Shaw plays well and throws the ball like he has all season, I don't really see how they lose this game. Shenango Forks, they're going to have to run the ball well against a very good defense, and if Waverly gets ahead early and forces Forks to throw, that's not a good thing for them. I mean, we've seen that the last couple of years. Waverly's jumped on them, forced them to have to throw the football in the second half, and they're not built that way. They're built to run the football and throw the ball off their run.
Yeah, CSP flustered Ben in the first half of that first week a little bit, but it was really
just nerves, I think.
Nerves, and so we haven't seen that since. I'm sure that's what Forks and Coach Hogan's going to do is
well, that's the thing. You're
try to get after the quarterback.
You're looking at a tremendous coach and coaching staff. They're going to have a game plan for Waverly. They always do. It'll be something Waverly hasn't seen, or they'll do something. But boy, it's tough to play zone against this team because they can run and they can get the ball to their athletes and in the flats. And we saw what happens if you try to play man to man. Watson's going to go get the ball, and so it's just Waverly's a good football team. Forks is Forks capable of beating them? Yes.
Yeah.
If they got to create some breaks for themselves, and like I said, they're well coached, and they've got 4 guys that can carry the football, and they've got the Paskey kid at quarterback, great athlete, and they've got the Bartlow kid, a Division I lacrosse player, playing in the slot for him, and he's the one that really hurt Tioga this year, on the counters and stuff, and he's the one I think the one you really got to watch for.
Like Coach Miller said here in our first interview with him earlier this year, it runs through Shenango Forks until it doesn't, right?
Absolutely.
As long as coaches up there. Coach Hogan's at Forks. It's going to run through them, but Waverly can really
they've got a big
test them.
They got a big size advantage up front this year. Cam Hills will talk about that. Before our interview, we talked about how each of the last 3 years that he's gone into those Forks games playing against kids his size or bigger. And this year, while they're still a good front, they're not as big as Waverly. So it'll be interesting to see if Waverly can use that to their advantage or if,
I think it's going to take, like you said, Forks is going to need Waverly to make mistakes, and that's what Coach Miller is probably preaching all week, is doing the little things to make sure, the big mistakes don't happen.
Yeah.
And they've done it all year. They've looked really good. That Maine Endwell game has proven they can play with anybody, I think.
You put 41 on the board against Maine Endwell.
Yeah.
You're doing something.
So it should be a fun one. That is noon on Saturday up at Johnson City High School. Number 1, Waverly. Number 2, Shenango Forks in the Class C finals. Let's go to Class D on Saturday. I watched on live stream a little bit once it came on the air there. It didn't go on right away. Tioga pulls away. They were down
14-7.
14-7. They win 35-14 over Spencer Burnett and Candor. Kudos to Coach Wayman and Spencer Burnett and Candor. Spec, a nice year for them, and I'm sure they would have loved to finish that job there, but Tioga
made some adjustments at half, and pretty much I think Spec had 17 yards offense in the second half. But in the first half, they did exactly what Delhi did to them. They were able to get the ball to the edge on the sweeps, and Tioga didn't defend it well. Made the necessary adjustments at half, and Spec just couldn't get anything going. So Tioga, pretty simple. Tioga's going to have to play better defense than they did the first time. But if you remember, that first game was also the game that Brendan Sindoni got hurt. Mm-hmm. So your coach on the field, your middle linebacker gets hurt. They couldn't play. I don't think, and I said some this week to somebody asked me about what I thought about the game, and I still like Delhi's chances. Not saying who's going to win, but Tioga couldn't play much worse than they did against Delhi in that first game, and it was still in doubt into the final minutes. So now they've Brennan Sindoni's out still, but they've been able to run as a unit since then. And you have
another leader out there, obviously. Somebody's taking that spot. I got nervous. I was watching the live stream going back and forth on it, and I turned it on, and I see the backup, who's really the third string quarterback. Name is blanking me.
Lucas Nichols.
And I text you. You're on the field. I go, did Jaden get hurt? He's like, no, they're just making sure he's healthy going forward. So how big was that because they're getting healthier each week, but you need another week to keep getting healthy, right?
Well, Jaden played quite a bit. When they needed a big play, they brought him in and he made them. I think they wanted to make sure he was going to be healthy. Coach Aiello said they're as healthy as they're going to get. They've got a couple, Bailey and Shea Bailey and Brendan Sindoni out for the year.
But Tukas is back, right?
Tukas is back, and Logan Bellis is back, and he didn't play a lot either. He just defensively didn't carry the ball. So I think you'll see all hands on deck this week. Like I said, this is a coin toss right now. I can't decide which way I want to go with it.
If it's a coin toss, I'm leaning towards the team that's been there and done that. Going coach that's the best in Class D. I would pick Tioga. Now explain this. So we thought going in as of last week, I think we thought Class D had a wild card.
Apparently, at some point in the preseason, Section 9 said they would have a Class D representative. Tioga found out about that 2 or 3 weeks ago. I found out about it Saturday.
Yeah.
I asked Coach Aiello about it. And so
now they got to win to get in, right?
Now they have to win. There's no wild card. Yeah. Class A and AA still have wild cards. Class D does not.
So Tioga's got to win. Like I said, if you got to keep the train moving. So no second chances here this week. They got to get the win. That's 8:00. As long as the 8-man game goes on time and everything. Yep. Friday night at Johnson City, we'll have that call on Choice 102 as well. Looking forward to Tioga taking on Delhi at Johnson City High School, 8:00 Friday night.
And I think last note on that, I think if Tioga plays a clean football game, they've turned the ball over more this year than I've seen them in a long time. But if they keep a handle on the football, they've got a really good chance.
Class B, Owego takes down Norwich 34-14. So they get that rematch with Maine Endwell. Trying to find that score here.
They played Oneonta.
Oneonta. They won big, I'm sure. So it's going to be Owego taking on Maine Endwell, a rematch from a couple weeks ago. That game, I'm not sure if Palladino's back for Owego. He got hurt. He got hurt in that Owego or in the Maine Endwell game early on, right? So
yeah, you wonder if he's going to be 100% though. He didn't play last week. I don't know the extent of his injury, but
got it. Got to have him. I think if you're Coach Patton Taylor and those guys, should be a good one. 3:00 Saturday up at Johnson City High School. Owego, Maine Endwell. We've said all year this is the year for Owego. If they're going to beat Maine Endwell, it's going to be this year with 20 seniors and 60 some guys on the roster. And
I watched that game on live, or not live stream. I didn't watch it live, but I went back and watched the video of it. And Maine Endwell was just, excuse me, that night Maine Endwell was just better up front.
Owego made mistakes too.
Yeah,
right?
and Owego made some costly mistakes. But I thought Maine Endwell was better up front, and I think Owego's got to play a little better up front to win.
We said all along that game in the regular season really meant nothing. So there's no home field advantage, nothing. So this is the one. If you're going to lose one, you got to want to lose that one. So
and if you've got any tricks in your bag right now, I'd suggest that Coach Taylor pull out.
I'm sure he's not sleeping much this week. Probably he's.
I wouldn't be
getting ready for that one. That is going to be Saturday afternoon at 3:00. That game will be on our sister station WEBO in the My Hometown Today app. Darren Dodge and Daniel Kennedy on that call there. Other games, Class A, Horseheads got a week off, I believe. Last week they get to play Vestal again at home though. Vestal at Horseheads 6:00. Already got a win over Vestal this year. I think they're the heavy favorites in that one.
Yeah, definitely.
And both teams go to states in that one now, right?
Correct. So I think Horseheads has to. They just have to play a clean game. They're the prohibitive favorites in this, and if they play their game and don't turn the ball over, I think they win.
Same thing, Elmira at Corning. Corning the favorites there. They'll be those are 6:00 starts Friday night. Elmira at Corning, Vestal at Horseheads, and both teams in AA also go to the state playoffs there. So it should be an interesting set of matchups here for Section 4 championship games, and we're looking forward to it, obviously. And right now we're going to talk more about it with Waverly senior Cam Hills. And joining us now here on Two Guys Talking Sports is Waverly senior Cam Hills. How are we doing tonight, Cam?
Good. How are you?
Doing really well.
Cam, you guys, you 4-year starter now. A couple times all-state, state title, couple Section 4 titles. Been quite a run for you over the 4 years.
Yeah, the work's really paid off. That's all I really could say.
Looking back, I go back to your freshman year. You lose to Section 4 finals to Shenango Forks. Mm-hmm. How much did that motivate you guys? Because you haven't skipped a beat since then.
Well, it really motivated me because, looking at the seniors as a freshman, going in the locker room, just really being down about everything, just really motivated me because if you look at the guy in front of me, Tyler Hayes, he went D2. He kicked my butt the whole game, and we got destroyed that game. So it just motivated me every day since then.
Yeah. And then the following year, you win the section title, and you get manhandled by General Brown. So, again, another motivating loss for you guys.
Because that was a rough game. Cold outside, and then we all just started arguing, and we just fell apart as a team.
So talk a little bit about last year. That had to be able to beat Shenango Forks again and then, win a state title. Could play at the Dome had to be amazing for you.
It was amazing. Besides in the Dome, nothing could have prepared me for that. Unbelievably hot. But going into that and seeing all the fans was unbelievable. And then you just watch your teammates win a state title is crazy.
Yeah, and there was two. Fonda Fultonville had a heck of a. Waverly travels well, but so did they. That was the loudest I've ever heard that Dome for a high school football game. That didn't involve a Syracuse team. I
interviewed a couple years ago when your brother was on the team. He was the running back. You were playing offense line. So that was your sophomore year, I think it was.
Yeah, that was his senior year.
His senior year. So what was that like to be able to play with him? Obviously, you didn't get to win the state title with him, but to play with him. I remember interviewing you, and he was a running back. You were the lineman. I know you said your mom used to yell at you if he got hit really hard.
Well, being a lineman and my brother running right behind me, it's they always talk about brotherhood. Well, that literally was brotherhood because, like you said, if I don't make that block and he gets hit, I'm going home and my mom's yelling at me. So, but having my actual brother on the team made me realize like I have to protect the running backs like they are my brothers. And now like with Fletcher and all them, I have good bonds with them and they're my brothers, but they're not like blood.
Right.
Obviously, a little different size-wise between you and Braden, right? So when did you know that you were going to be a pretty big kid, and when was that growth spurt kind of happening?
Probably like fourth grade. I was a small kid growing up, but then it was right before I moved to Waverly in fifth grade. I just hit a growth spurt, and then I blew up.
What's the grocery bill at home there?
I don't know.
So, talk about, before we came on here, you and I talked, you had the privilege to play with a Division I quarterback. Mm-hmm. You guys lose him, and Benny Shaw's come in this year as a sophomore, and just, you guys haven't skipped a beat offensively. Talk a little bit, and you tell me what you told me earlier about, you're a little surprised.
Well, you go from Joey DeMasso that's throwing 70-yard bombs, and then a sophomore walks in, you're just not really like, the doubt in your mind grows, but he walks in the first workout of the summer, and he's not the same he is now. But like if you look back at that until now, he's grown so much, and it's unbelievable.
How much confidence you guys have in him right now?
A lot, especially with him being like I had confidence coming into the season for him because he was the starting middle linebacker. He has that leadership, and he is the starting middle linebacker now. But so the confidence we have in him is unbelievable because he's always been a leader.
Talk about a little bit too about, you talk about brotherhood. You and Troy Beeman go way back, and now JT Williams has been with you guys for a couple years. That offensive line is quite a group you've got put together there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I grew up with Troy since probably like first grade, and his dad was my coach, and I played with his brother. But JT moving in, Carson, and Jack just transferring last year. We're all just like close. We bond, and like last year and this year, we went on a lineman dinner before every season, and we just go out and eat and talk.
How much during the summer when 7-on-7 is going on, you guys are doing those lineman challenges? Mm-hmm. What kind of a bond does that build?
Well, when you're spending 5 hours a day doing stuff with your line, it's phenomenal, and we like to get after each other, pick on each other, and we just it grows our friendships. And when we get on the football field, we can trust each other to do their own jobs.
So what do you like better, offense or defensive line?
I like offense just because like the polling, if I'm polling all the momentum, but the knowing, like when you get a big stop on defense, the adrenaline going through you is just unbelievable.
You made, I've been doing this a long time, Camp. I mean, a long time. And you made a play last year that when you made it, I laughed, and I got great photos of it, and I still laugh every time I think of it. It was a Shenango Forks game. I don't remember if it was the first one or the second one. The running back was going by you. You reached out with one hand and grabbed hold of his shoulder.
The first game.
And you just pulled him backwards like this. And I was laughing as I stood there. Talk about just you're a big, strong boy, as they say. How much does that play into? I mean, how confident are you that you can get the job done against anybody?
Well, when I go and line up against people like Windsor that has a 150-pound guard, and you're trying to run midline right past me, I'm pretty confident. But like, I haven't really faced any big guards this year like I have in my past years. Like last year, that game against Forks, they had Dustin jump, and he was a big boy. But making that play and it just boosted my confidence for the rest of the game.
What's it like playing on that defensive line with, Matthias and Jack and Troy? How much is that you guys feed off each other of you want to be the one to get to the quarterback, right?
Well, after the game and like the past couple games, Troy's got a sack, Matthias, and we all like to rub it in each other's face when we get big plays. But so that just like boosts our confidence and makes us want to work harder for the rest of the week to maybe get that big play.
Who's got the best dance skills on the defensive line, though? I mean, I know you get in a little trouble once in a while when you celebrate with a dance, right? But
I'd say probably me.
You talk about confidence. total honesty with you, when you guys played Maine Annual, I didn't think you. I figured they'd beat you by 2 touchdowns. That's a game you guys probably should have won. Lose a heartbreaker in overtime. But how much confidence you guys draw from taking the number 1 team in a class above you into overtime and probably should have beat them?
It builds a lot of confidence because you think about Maine Annual, you're thinking about multiple state title team, probably the best coach in New York. And you're losing to them by 1 point in overtime, that just boosts your confidence 1,000,000%.
And speaking of that, offensively, you scored 41 points on a defense that doesn't give up points. So offensively, that for the whole team, that had to be quite a booster too.
Well, when you one-on-one Xavier Watson, you're going to have a rough day.
What's a bond like with the coaching staff? Obviously, they've been together a long time, and you've kind of grown up with them, right? So what's it like, especially with like Coach Shaw? I know he helps you on the line a lot.
Well, Coach Shaw is a phenomenal coach. You can go to him about anything. You can go to any of them about anything. But Coach Shaw is like the one that you just know if you're wrong, he's going to scream at you for it, and you probably could hear it in the stands. But then Coach Miller is just like the mega mind of it all. He makes all the great plays. He makes everything. Debo's our line coach, and you have Andrew Yakinevich, who's a phenomenal middle linebacker coach. And then you have the Mastrantono brothers, which they played for Waverly, all that. And the coaching staff bond is just unbelievable, and it helps the players because, like, they get along, the players get along.
Well, I wish you could have seen Coach Miller when he was younger. If you think Shaw's out of his mind, Jason was just as bad in his younger days. Talk about maturing. But you said, Coach Gallagher may be the best coach in New York State. Talk a little bit about Tioga as far as your rivalry. This year, you guys beat on them pretty good, but last year was one of the best football games you'll ever see. Talk about a little bit about the respect that the two programs have for each other.
Well, Tioga's a phenomenal team. There's nothing about it. Coming into the game last year, there was a lot of trash talk, whatever, and that's what really built the climax to it. And then losing in overtime like we did to Maine Annual this year, it was a heartbreaker because if you watch the last play, we all could have put in a little bit more effort, and it just boosted us from there.
Yeah.
What's it like playing? Obviously, the defensive line, you kind of plug up those holes right away. And what's it like playing with guys like Colson Keithley? In behind you, he's probably has the quickest closing speed I've seen.
And
other than maybe Usman Dugganson last year from Tioga,
and Benny, seems like he's on every tackle.
Well, you have Ben and Nate Peters back there, which we're plugging the hole. They're where they should be, and then Colson, he's out of his mind. He's just there. I plugged the hole they're cutting out. Colson's there, and then on the backside you have Cooper Robinson, which he's wearing a Guardian cap for a reason. But having the up front we have, and then behind us, we have all the confidence in them in the world.
Speaking out of their mind, I was kind of shocked up in the press box when Windsor kept trying to run option to the outside when you have Colson Keithley and those guys out there. They don't let that gap's not going to be there too long.
Yeah, and it's funny thing is, you guys play Forks again this week, obviously. Forks beat Windsor 41-20, and Windsor had 3 touchdowns called back. And you guys literally smothered that offense. That's got to make you feel pretty good heading into this week.
Well, I actually went up to that game, and I was watching Windsor's quarterback, and he was phenomenal. And he played phenomenal against us. But when you have a defense like ours, it's hard to score on. But like Forks and Windsor, they look like the same exact team. And getting 3 touchdowns called back is unbelievable.
Obviously, played your last game at Memorial Stadium. Now, what was it like to play there in front of that great fan base?
Phenomenal, because I've grown up here for the past 7 years, and the bonds that I've built with a bunch of people there and their families is unbelievable.
But the fan base travels well too, so it's going to be huge up there at Johnson City Saturday afternoon. What's that like to see the sea of red on the road when you're in the playoffs?
It's phenomenal, especially last year in the Dome, because you walk out of those tunnels and you look to the right and you see Waverly, but then Fonda Fulton has the same amount of people, and it was unbelievably loud.
It was fun. It was a great experience. I was going to say, having played on some bad Waverly football teams myself back in the day, same stadium, now it's got turf, had grass when I was there. But it's got to be kind of neat. It was for me knowing that stadium opened in like 1949. So it's 75 years of football there. Yeah, think about the memories. Kind of neat to play in it. And it's still one of the nicest stadiums around.
It's unbelievably beautiful. I mean, growing up with Gander, we had grass and all that, nothing really special. And then moving to Waverly, and it's a beautiful stadium.
Did they have the light show back in 1940?
No, they didn't.
That was pretty impressive, out there. What's it going to take when you guys, you're on the road now, neutral site, really, Johnson City High School. What's it going to be like playing up there against Forks, and what's it going to take to get the win?
Playing Forks, it's Forks. You don't know what they're going to come out in. You don't know what they're going to do, especially the past couple of years. But I think what it's going to take is we're going to have to stop Paskey, their quarterback, and I don't know his name, but it's 20 or something.
Bartlow.
He's really good. And watching him on film and watching him against Windsor, it's going to be a tough game, but I think we have all the confidence in the world.
Yeah, Bartlow is the one that hurt Tioga the most when Forks beat them.
One thing I wanted to ask you, you were a wrestler for the first couple years of high school. Last year after the season, had an issue, couldn't really even try to get down the weight, right? What did it going into this year, knowing that, you don't have to worry about getting down to weight and wrestling anymore, right? That's the thing. How does that help you where you don't have to worry about, the weight and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, my freshman and sophomore year, I didn't even worry about it until football was over. So, but this year it's just like everybody I wrestle with plays football. So we all still talk about wrestling and like what's going on. But it kind of takes the toll off my mind that I don't have to worry about it after football.
I guess the burning question, since we're talking about wrestling, is if you're down to heavyweight last year, does Troy win a state title?
No.
Too bad it's not the unlimited weight class.
Oh, it was when I was in high school. I had that when I was in high school.
The real question is, the roster has a weight listed for you. Is it close to being accurate?
What is it?
380.
Probably.
Right around there.
Give or take what?
370.
Okay.
Oh, okay. You lose weight during the season a little bit, or?
Yeah, not like crazy amount.
Or do you hit like Algers up enough where you?
Well, I gained a lot of weight throughout last winter when I didn't wrestle because I started working out a lot more and my bench went up 100 pounds. So I gained a lot more muscle than I have recently.
What's the future plans hold?
I don't know what I want to do in the winter. I was thinking about bowling just for the fun of it.
I was telling somebody the other night, Coach Yakinevich, actually, we were talking, met up with him at Algers after your game the other night, and I said, man, it'd be fun. I don't know how many times you can get up and down the basketball court, but it'd be great to see you on Coach Judson's team out there.
Boxing out.
I'd love to play basketball just because everybody that plays football plays basketball. But I want to say I'm the greatest basketball player in the world.
I think he'll take you.
How about college plans? Any thoughts on going?
I have two options. I want to go be a phys ed teacher, but it's the same option. Phys ed teacher, or I want to go to college to become like a business analyst, but both of them are going to involve real estate.
Okay.
And what about sports? Why is he looking to play football?
Yeah.
You looking anywhere?
Me and Peyton Frabel went up to Alfred U last weekend, but I've been contacting a couple D2, D3 coaches. Not many D1. D1 was like my wrestling thing.
Yeah, obviously, if you were, I think I talked to Coach Miller a while ago. He said if you were, 6'3", you'd be probably D1 all over the place, right? Unfortunately,
the same thing that Joey ran into.
Yeah,
not quite big enough.
And obviously, you got friends that play up at like St. John Fisher, right? And anybody talk to you like D3 level, saying, "Hey, you might as well join us up."
I did talk to St. John Fisher's head coach. When me and Peyton Frabel went up to Alfred U, they were playing St. John Fisher.
Okay.
So I got to see Isaiah Bratz, Nate DeLille, and Mason Lister, all of them. But I'm not so worried about college right now because I'm trying to win another state title.
That's absolutely right.
Absolutely.
Well, good luck the rest of the way. That is Waverly senior Cam Hills. We'll be following along, and I'll have the call of every game. Now it's noon on Saturday the rest of the way for the Waverly Wolverines. and we'll have the call on the choice and the My Hometown Today app. But good luck the rest of the way. Go beat Forks again this week. It's always fun when you beat Forks, right? So let's go get the W there, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
And we want to thank Waverly Senior Camp Hills for stopping by and talking to us here on Two Guys Talking Sports. Great talking with him. Such a great kid and just a beast on the field there.
He just envelopes kids. Last week, that Windsor quarterback, he wrapped him up, and I could hardly see him in the photo I took.
So good luck to Cam and the Wolverines as they continue, hopefully, their run back to the Dome this year. We want to thank our sponsor, J. Lister, LLC, and Lenders Assistance. Give Jim Lister a call, 607-857-2036. Email him at jim.lister@yahoo.com. Let Jim's 30 years in the automobile industry work for you. And if you're a business owner out there or an organization and want to hop on the Two Guys Talking Sports family, just text Tim or I, and we'll get you on pretty much right away. We're having a blast doing this, but we kind of need to.
And if you're when you get on YouTube, if you want to check out the podcast on YouTube, please
subscribe.
Thank you. And like and share. We greatly appreciate it.
That's going to do it here for episode 25 of Two Guys Talking Sports. We will talk to you next week.